I'm so like, and I apologize to the basketball community because there's so much fake out there. I've been fake. Man, just had to erase everything. Woo! What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for clicking in. Before I get into it, I just want to say thank you to everybody who clicked in on my first video, first ever vlog. People showing love. So I read all the comments, the DM. I just appreciate the messages. You're one of those people who checked me out, watched with me, because I did watch it myself. Such a cool experience. Thank you so much. Big shout out to you guys. I really thought there would only be 20 views. I didn't think many people would watch. I really appreciate the support. Hope to keep giving you great, good, entertaining content. If you don't know, a big thing for me is creative expression. I love creative expression, not just my own, but people's in general. I appreciate people's grinds, whether it's through painting and arts, music, or I'm an advocate for creative expression. So for myself, I grew up loving to draw. It was kind of an outlet for me, and now I love to paint. My stepfather had a studio in our basement house in Detroit. He used to let me mess around with some of the stuff. Really, since then, got more and more interested in it. College, really starting to experiment with beat making. Then I just called it my glorified hobby, just something I love to do. If you listen to all of the tracks in the first video and the ones you'll hear here, they're all beats that I made.
Yeah, boy.
And that's what it's gonna be for the rest of the way. It's gonna be all beats that I made. I'm not great at it, but I love it. Different sounds, putting them together, making them cohesive. The end result is always like, man, that's cool, I made that. Let me know if you like the beats. Let me know if you like background tracks in the comments. One of my creation babies that I'm most proud of is the book that I wrote, released in 2012, called Rising Higher. And this is it right here. Took a couple years to write, put it out. Before you think it or say it, I'm not here to try to sell this to you. It's been off the shelf for several years now. I'll explain why later. I'm not trying to sell it to you, though there are some copies still in the stores that people are picking up, apparently. I'm not getting paid for them. I need to call somebody. Something that I wrote and am most proud of. One of my creation products. Hang out with me for the rest of the video. I plan on giving away a couple of my last copies. I'll let you know how you can get one. Recently, I flicked through Rising Higher. One of the things for me, even when I think about it, when I think about the book, I get like hot and cold feelings about it. There's a lot of things that I would change, don't sit well with me. And there are a lot of things that I'm proud of and bring good feeling. I love the fact that I talked about how I grew up, talked about my family, about, Detroit, my hometown, just how I grew up. I love that. Like, I wouldn't touch that. The way that I wrote, some of the language, the usage of words that just doesn't sound like me. Even looking back at who I was then, far different now than who I was when this came out in 2012. But even given that, like who I was then didn't talk like what it seems like how I talked here with some of the language. It said something like, I just opened it up one time and it was like a group of guys that were bursting with talent and potential. Like, dude, you know you don't talk like that. But I wrote it in a way that I felt was appropriate, I guess. I wrote the draft, sent it out to an overseas copy editing company called Bubble Cow. Pretty much it came back like almost everything was strike. Saying like, this might be confusing, they might not understand what this means. So I kind of switched it up and watered some things down so that it would be more universally interpreted. But it ended up being like an organic version of who Kel was. I don't like that. Bursting. The team was bursting with potential and talent. And they were. That's not how I would say it. How would I say it? We had some dogs on the team. But if I wrote that, most probably wouldn't understand unless you're hip to that kind of lingo. Or you're a dog. Or you're a dog. I ended up sending it to my local copy editor, Valencia. Shout out, Jen. You did an amazing job with helping me get it to where I wanted it to be. I would have written it a little differently, would have felt a little more authentic. I wrote this for a few reasons. It started off as just memoirs, have it for myself. One day, I called Coach Chot, coach who pretty much started this whole Philippine journey for me. Make sure I have my facts straight and accurate. At the end of the conversation, he was like, what are you doing? Writing the memoir, just so I can remember. Stop for me. He was like, you know what? Save it. You might decide to write a book. I started considering it and it became a real thing. Shout out to Coach Chot. I don't know if you knew that. The big reason why this book is out. And shout out to IMColor, who is also a big reason why this book is out. I was in all the major bookstores, book tours, tie-ups. Shout out to Cheryl and IMColor. I wrote the book with that in mind. First with my son in mind. At the time, I only had Charlie. It would be great for him to see some of the ups and downs of his dad's life. And now for Roman. A big topic in that book, the fact that I had to overcome pretty serious health issues in order for me to play, like bad enough to where it almost ended my career. It didn't, and I came back and I had a lot of mountains to climb even upon coming back, and continue my career and thrive. Resiliency was a big deal, or principle. I wanted someone to be inspired by that. You can overcome, go through stuff, and be blindsided by life. We will be. There are a couple things in this book, though, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. For one, my friend and fellow professional player, Chris Newsom, is Chris Newman in here, and I've always felt bad about it. So Chris, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry, bro. It's my fault. I should have double-checked, but I didn't. I'll correct it here if anybody ever noticed that. His last name is Newsom, not Newman. Kelly. My fault, bro. There's another thing. Got to the Philippines. Before getting to the pros, I played about a year in amateur semi-pro league. Because of some issues with my paper, my citizenship, I wasn't gonna be able to make the draft. The book talks about that. But the reality of the situation is the San Miguel Corporation fixed everything for me. They took care of me. It took some years to put it in perspective, and it took some maturity because I didn't write it. I was afraid of any conflict of interest. But the reality of the story is, in that time, and they definitely did the heavy lifting. I'm also a big believer of giving credit where credit is due. So this is long overdue, but to the San Miguel Corporation and the bosses and everyone involved, thank you. Thank you so much. So now that that's off my chest, okay, there's one thing in particular that makes me cringe, and I almost don't want to share it. There was a game I was playing with Gilas 2.0. It was a national team. And so they set up an exhibition game against a group of NBA players. And these NBA players were James Harden, Chris Paul, Derrick Rose, who was the MVP at the time. This is during the NBA lockout season. JaVale McGee, Kevin Durant, and Kobe Bryant. Yeah. Crazy. So there were 2 games scheduled, and that was more of like an all-star game, just a highlight reel. Everybody out there goofing off. The national team, because we had, I say it like that, because of the national team. Flashback. Fast acting license. This is the part that makes me like, Kelly. It says, in the last 5 or 6 minutes, you can see a bit of frustration amongst some of the NBA players. I remember thinking that if they were frustrated, we must have been doing something right, forcing them to take us seriously. These are the best players in the world. In the world. Y'all have them frustrated, Kel? Come on, man. It was the lockout season. They weren't at the top of their game. If they really wanted to play, come on, dude. Kobe, and I apologize to the basketball community at large. Probably jet lagging. They probably partied the night before. I just shared with you some really deep-seated. Even though I'm very different from who I was when I wrote this, there are some things that have remained. In that book, it seemed like a happily ever after type of thing. Family, marriage. Like I said in the first video, I'm divorced now. I've been separated from my kids for over 5 years now. I don't identify as a Christian anymore, which was a big deal in that book. And it was a big deal for me to share that from a spiritual standpoint, which is part of the reason why I took the book off the shelf. When I did pull all my books off, it was because I was ashamed, really. Like, I didn't want to sell that book anymore. I was working on the audiobook, and I realized, wow, this really is not my life anymore. Not my life anymore. It's not who I am. I'm not this guy. That's what sparked me to say, all right, let's take it off. But reality of it was, I was kind of ashamed to share that with people. Going through divorce and not being with my kids, not claiming to be a Christian anymore. I know I'm a spiritual person, definitely connected to the source and the universe. At the time, I just wasn't confident in it. It's those topics people don't really want to share. A lot of it seems like taboo. It's not something to be proud of. Now, actually even just talking about it now, I think it's important to talk about these things. Maybe you don't have to do it like this. It's important to feel okay with it, empowered by your past and that being its silver lining who you've become now. And to not be ashamed for changing, not be afraid to change if you know that you're not in a line with where you want to be or identify as within. And that might come with disappointing your parents. It might come with disappointing your friends. You're not fitting the expectations that they may have on you, who they want you to be or who they think you should be. And that's okay. That's what it takes. You have to understand what works for you. My thing is, if it helps you grow, helps you become a better person, helps you be connected, feel connected, then do that. Get to know who you are. Understand what works for you. And just be you. I used the word authentic a few times already this video. That's important for me. And I think it's important for you to be your most authentic self, it helps you because now you can say, all right, I'm myself, I'm presenting myself to this person as a friend in a relationship, and then it allows people to say, I can rock with this person, or nah, I'm not really feeling that. And that's okay. It allows people to just fall off naturally and organically, and it also brings in the type of energy, the type of people that you vibe with naturally and want to be in your energy and in your world. It takes the guessing out of who belongs and who doesn't when you're your most authentic self, or when you're just trying to be you. Because there's so much fake out there. I've been fake for several years to protect myself, put out a facade to seem like something that I'm not, to try to save relationships, and it was unfulfilling. It's always unfulfilling. At the end of the night, you only face yourself. You have to face yourself. You look in the mirror, you want to be able to say, regardless of what happened, I love you, I'm proud of you, keep doing you, keep being you. No one's worth our peace. No one's worth our alignment. I'm so like, wow. Man, that was... That's pretty much the gist of this book, and I just wanted to share some of the things that kind of has rubbed me the wrong way, clear my conscience, fully accept all that it is, like accepting myself. I'm proud of this. I'm proud of myself for putting it out. Another level of vulnerability for me through this book, and I think vulnerability is necessary in order to make an impact. So if you do have a copy, read it, plan to try to see it somewhere, somehow, the takeaway for it would be tough times gonna come. We'll get blindsided sometimes by life, but it's not about what happened. It's about making sure we persevere, or we're resilient through it. So I'm thinking of Rocky again.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth.
And it hasn't been easy, but it's been fulfilling on the back end because I know I tried to use it a way to inspire people to keep moving forward in their own lives. It's been a blessing. Like I said, it's been tough. It's never easy to go through tough times, and sometimes you feel like you're not gonna get through this one. I want to get out of bed, but just take one small step today. Just the tiniest step. Sometimes it's getting out of bed, taking a shower. Forget about the big tasks. Sometimes it's just being able to put your feet on the ground and say, I'm gonna start my day somehow, some way. You should celebrate those wins. People that don't want to carry on, unfortunately, but we're not those people. And if you are, like, let's try to put our feet down tomorrow. If you're going through a tough time and you don't feel like you can move forward, you can. You definitely can. I've been there. I know how it feels to want to give up, but we can do this. We can do this, and you can do it. You know, I hope people have taken away resilience, and not just my resilience, but a picture of the possibility. Nothing can hold you back. You can still rise higher, succeed, and grow, and improve, and do great things. That's been my story, and that's why I shared it, and I hope that's what you get from it. I think it's important. I'm not going to talk much about the next book, but it is in production. It's to show the contrast of who I am now, who I've been for the last several years, sharing the story and the realities that I've dealt with over the years. I may even bring the book back out, I don't know, because now it's become a powerful part of my story. It's important to see the contrast. Say, it's okay to change. It's okay to grow. It's okay, I'm not who I was. I'm not who people expected me to be. I'm not who I said I was. And lift the lid on these subjects a lot of times people are ashamed to talk about, too ashamed to accept for themselves. We have to forgive ourselves for our mistakes. We have to accept ourselves for who we are. From that place, that's where we can really grow. Loving ourselves, accepting we are exactly who we are, flaws and all. I'm never gonna try to make myself seem perfect. I am not. Boy, am I not. But I'm continuously conscious of growing. It's a priority for me. Put myself in a position to be able to grow. Not living in the future, not living in the past, living in the present has allowed so much healing for me in my life, and maybe you need some healing for yourself. I don't know. I think it's important to share drastic differences between my lifestyle then and now, kind of break the stigma on certain issues. But I definitely wanted to set the record straight on a couple of things in the book that have nagged me for several years.
Okay.
Alright, so like I said earlier, I'm giving away a few of the last copies. So what I need from you is to go to your Facebook, go to your IG, and I want you to post a picture of yourself where you feel most empowered. That can be a picture of you flexing, it can be a picture of you on the beach, dyed your hair, you're eating pizza, something with you where you feel empowered, right? I want you to tag at least one person who's either seen your story, knows how you've risen and overcome, or someone who's helped you overcome and rise. Then follow it up with the hashtag #RiseWithKel. Can you do that? I'm gonna post it too. I'm gonna post my empowerment picture of where I've overcome, and I'm gonna tag my people, and I'm just gonna choose who will get the copy of my book, Rising Higher. We're looking forward to seeing your post. All right, well, that's the episode. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Get active today.